Hi, everyone. This is the Perspective with Viv podcast. My name is Viv, and welcome to the show. Today's title is The Land Remembers Reclaiming Roots and Ancestral Wisdom with Shante. Shante is a spiritual herbalist, intuitive guide, and land steward who has been living earth centered for as long as she can remember. In her early 20s, she began the journey of reclaiming her indigeneity, and she's been walking that path ever since, rooted in ancestral wisdom, land reconnection, and deep soul work. Her work weaves together gardening, spiritual herbalism, community ritual, and ancestral healing. She believes and lives the truth that real liberation starts when we reconnect with the land and remember who we are. So, hi, Shante. Thank you for joining me.
Hi, Vi. Thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure. So, let's dive right into the questions.
Yes.
So, you've shared that you've been living earth centered for as long as you can remember. What was the earliest memory that made you feel most connected to the land?
The memory that's coming up is when I was young. I probably was about maybe 6 or 7 years old. And across from the house were orange groves. And next to our house was like a lot that had orange groves. And so my friends and I would always run through the orange groves. We would climb in the trees and the orange groves and we would pull the oranges and then we'd throw them on the ground and crack them open. And so those are some of my earliest memories of just feeling really connected to the trees, to the roots, to the leaves. Like I love just hanging out in the trees when I was young. That's one of my earliest memories of really feeling a deep connection to the land. And it was through these trees and through these orange trees.
Thank you for answering that so beautifully. You talk about Soul Care University as your playground. I love that phrase. What does soul care mean to you in this season of life, and how is it reflected in a way that you show up for others?
Hmm. Wow. So soul care for me is I'm just kind of deepening into that question. Mm. Soul care is about deep listening. So for me, where I am in my life as a 55-year-old, I consider myself in what I call deepening woman or deep dive woman, right? So once we get beyond our 40s, we enter into this time in our lives where it's about deep listening and the tending that we're doing to ourselves and our body. It moves below the surface. It gets deep into the soil. So soul care for me is the soil work. It is deepening into who I am and why I'm here and what has heart and meaning, and constantly in that dance of life and just really being a true like pioneer, and an adventurer. So, and with as long as I kind of keep that frame of mind, then what I'm diving into is exciting. It's not to be dreaded. It's not, oh no, what do I do? It's yeah, like let's go, let's dive in, let's explore. And for me, this time of my life, and especially in tending to my soul, is about the deeper dive. And so that's kind of where I'm at in my life with soul care. And how I show up for others, or how that translates into showing up for others. I'm a living transmission. And so, how I am in my body and in my being in this time, it supports others and gives others the permission to be there too, at their level, at their octave. Yeah.
Wow, that's very insightful. So, you reclaimed your indigeneity in your early 20s. What did that process look like for you? Was it an initiation, a remembering, a series of quiet moments? What was it?
It was probably all the above. Um, I opened up to my spirituality probably around 20. I was 20 years old. And the opening to my spirituality for me was the land. And I wanted to learn more about communities that were more land based, more earth centered. And that led me talking to my grandmother, she was Indian, American Indian here. And so, talking to her more and learning more about my uncles, her brothers, and her grandmother, and her father, and her grandfather, and just trying to understand what her life was like as a child and how she described her earth-centered life. And as I began to study, all I wanted to study was indigenous cultures. And so for me, it started with, oh, let me learn about African culture. Let me dive into how people lived, at least what I was reading of how people lived. And then it would go into other traditions. So then I went into other of the native traditions here in the Americas and began to learn and talk to grandmother. And then I'd go back and I'd study more of some of the African traditions. And so it was during that early 20s time that I decided, and decided really isn't the name. It was more of like a yes, you are from the ancestors. It's like, yes, you are indigenous. Of course you are. We're all indigenous to Mother Earth, right? We all go back far enough and we will find our earth-centered peoples. That is from our lineage. So that's what I feel like I did. I just did a lot of studying, a lot of reading, and it wasn't reading about the spirituality, it was reading about the culture, which is the spirituality, right? Like here in the West, like we separate everything out into these compartments and all this type of thing. And within that indigenous worldview, I found home in not compartmentalizing the whole, right? The whole is just whole. And so spirituality is in everything. So it wasn't this, oh, I'm going to study this culture's spirituality. It was like, no, I'm going to remember this culture that's in me. So that's kind of how, and it started early, like I said, in my 20s, and it hasn't stopped because I continue to study now still and just dive.
That's so interesting. So, what interesting thing did you learn about African cultures, and did you find any similarities to what you studied about indigenous cultures and how they tend to the land or how they exist on their land?
I think what I learned around African culture was through a couple of my very dear teachers, Malidoma Some and Sabanfu Some. They used to come to Florida once or twice a year and have ritual, and they would have, these day long or weekend long groups. And I just, oh man, I think ritual was one of the most, what I loved the most. I loved the understanding and the deepening into what ritual was all about from their perspective and from their culture. And I learned so much from them. And so that was one of the things that I learned, was just how to awaken and connect into the ritual that was in me, and how to connect in with the ancestors, and not like a connect in, but an always relationship, right? Like always, there is never not a time there isn't conversation, right? And there are these other more sacred times where there's an invocation. So really connecting into the elements as they taught them, and seeing those elements in me as me, right? Just like all that type of stuff. And that connected me to my grandmother, connected me to my father, who, you're right, were African American, but they were deeply connected to the land through their own type of ritual, right? For them, like taking walks with my grandmother was ritual. It was this beautiful experience of taking in nature, the sky and the leaves and the, everything. And my dad, very similar, of course, his, my grandmother's son, my father, was also very similar. And I remember him. We were always outside. We used to camp, and let's get out here. But there was something very sacred about the camping, that it wasn't just camping to like learn survival. It was camping to be out on the land, to learn from nature, not to take from nature. And so in my ideas around African, what I learned from what I consider my African ancestry was about not extracting from the land, but being with, living in unity and community.
That's beautiful. And I just have to confirm, you spoke about your friends, Malidoma Some. Is that Patrice, the one that wrote the books?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Really? I have his
Yes.
book of water and spirit. When he said that, I said, no way. I have to confirm. Really?
Yes, yes. They were one of my first mentors, one of my first teachers. I studied with them when they were still together for about 2 years straight. Yeah.
What did they teach you apart from what you just said? Like, what did you learn? I can't even
Everything.
imagine. My goodness.
I completely carry on their lineage. Like their lineage is my lineage.
Oh, wow.
They were and are my teachers, my mentors, my elders. I get like teary thinking about them. I love Sabanfu so much. She is very near and dear to my heart. When I'm sharing her teachings, I feel her coming through. And I feel such an acknowledgement of yes, keep going, sister. Yes, she would call me
Wow.
sister. Yes, sister, keep going. And so, yeah,
That's beautiful. Wow.
yeah,
It's
I
an
miss
honor
them
and a
so much.
privilege. Yeah, I can totally imagine. And it's a blessing that you were able to learn from them and commune with them. And honestly, wow.
Yeah.
So deep. What have your ancestors taught you since you began the work of reconnecting and clearing your lineage?
Hmm. It's an interesting question. It's like, what have they taught me? It's like, what have they not taught me? I attribute everything to my ancestors, right? But it's not just people ancestors, right? It's celestial ancestors, it's plant ancestors. It's like it's all of creation I view as my ancestors. And so when I'm out on the land, when I'm walking, when I'm just being, right? And I'm looking up in the sky, like the clouds are my ancestors. So, and they're always teaching, I'm always downloading, I'm always connecting, I'm in this symbiotic space with creation, which means I'm always in that ancestor space. So it's like, what have they not taught me? Or what do they not teach me? Everything, because it's just this constant connection.
Hmm.
And it's like it's more than a connection, it's a beingness, right? Like we are that. Yes, we are connected and we are that. So, yes, I'm connecting to the tree that's blowing outside right now as the wind is going, and I am that. Like, I am outside. I am that tree that is
Wow.
blowing in the wind. Like, I feel that through my whole being.
So,
Yeah.
in what ways has ancestral healing changed how you move through the world today? How you how you love, how you lead, and how you live?
Lead, love, and live. There's a sense of freedom, right? So for me, a lot of the ancestral healing that I have participated in just through different practices, I feel like I feel like I have freed myself from a lot of the pain body, right? So part of my ancestral healing is about freeing myself and reconnecting to the line that is not trauma filled. And so, in doing that, how I live is more free. How I live is more open. How I love is more gracious. It's more expressed. It's more juicy because the line is clear. It's not muddled with a lot of the baggage that we can carry in this life. And it's the same way like with the planet and with the plants. If we use that same concept, that and I do that, there are many, like plants were stolen, right? They were moved from one place to the other and misused and shared in ways and still used in ways that are exploitive or extractive. But again, connecting into the true essence of the land, the true essence of the plant, like her life giving, her life loving, her the way she holds us, staying connected into those strands. Again, it frees me. It opens these pathways for so much more wisdom to come through. So the question is like, how do I live? I live like a constant download, because there's this pathways that are just open for me to be received, to receive, and then to give.
Beautiful. You've stepped away from systems shaped by the settler mindset. What did it take to release yourself from those structures
Mm.
mentally, emotionally, and spiritually?
What did it take to release from those systems? Wow, a lot.
Mm,
It I'm going to say it takes a lot, because to use "it took a lot" would mean that I'm not continuing to constantly have to unwind and unplug, right?
yeah.
So it takes devotion, and it takes heart work and deep soul work, right? And when I say like all these, there's so many things that goes into each one of these, right? So I'm just kind of being very general, but it takes devotion to myself and really trusting the path, and trusting the path of what some people say, like trusting the path of beauty, even when it doesn't necessarily look beautiful in our concept of beauty, or it doesn't feel so great, or in our preferences. It is trusting the path that is being laid out and walking it. It's disconnecting from people sometimes that no longer align, noticing, a lot of noticing. Yeah, it's constant. It's a constant presence in your life. Yeah.
Beautiful. Land stewardship is such a powerful phrase, by the way. So, what does it look like to be in sacred relationship with land, especially as a Black or Indigenous woman navigating today's world?
What does it look like? I think sharing it earlier around, because I feel like I've done so much healing work within the lineage, there's a freedom now that I have. So I knew someone once who said whenever she went to the ocean, she couldn't enjoy the beach because all she would imagine are slave ships coming. And so she couldn't enjoy mother. And so when I go to the beach, right, those images don't show themselves to me. And if they do, there's such gratitude for being shown, because there may be something that is being asked of me. Maybe there's a ritual being asked of me in that moment to help free this space, or to support, or to bring love to this part of the land. And so part of what it looks like for me is to first have done the work to help clear those pathways, so that when I do go to these places, I can hear and I can feel what is being asked of me. Because what might be asked of me may be a song, it may be a poem, it may be to leave my hair, it may be to lay down on the earth and just be here, right? So it looks very open and it looks very spacious. And it's important that I don't come with what I think I know, what I think might be. It's important that I just come purely open and just available. And that requires that consistent work, that consistent unplugging, that consistent noticing and presence.
So profound. Wow. So many things to take from it. But I do love the simplicity of just being able to sit and commune with nature and connect with mother, being able to actually listen and
Yeah.
hear what she's trying to say. Like you said, it could be just you sitting down, lying down. It's as simple as that. Connection to Mother Nature isn't that difficult. It's just presence and listening. So thank you for that.
Yeah, welcome.
You mentioned that without land connection and true community, deep healing isn't really possible. Could you speak more to the link between land, community, and healing?
Well, I really do believe that, and this is probably something that Sabonfu, right, and Melodoma really impressed upon me, was community, and the importance of community, and how here in the West we are so disconnected from community. We're very individual, solo focused. And I'll never forget Sabonfu saying at one of the things I was at, She was like, some people say, she's like, some people here say in the West, I need to go be by myself. She's like, no one would ever say that in my community. She was so funny. She's like, no one would ever say that in my community. There's nobody, someone saying, I need to go be by myself. We're going to ask, what's wrong? What do you need? You need community. Come with us. Come to us and let us support you. So that was so foreign to me, right? To say, like, to have this idea that people are always with you. And and so for me, like from these on up, right? I feel like I've grown up in this wisdom of the indigenous, which is about community. And not only is it just imperative, it's crucial for us to heal. It's crucial for others to see me in all of my places and to be accepted. And so when I think of true community, when I say that true with a capital T, it's the community that can see me and I am fully accepted in my horror, in my worst, crazy, ridiculous, most nastiest self. Like, I am fully accepted. My community accepting me there helps me accept me there. And then the disconnection from land here in the West, right? There's a power over here, in the West. It's power over the land. It's power over. It's we know more, we know best, and that's just crazy talk. And so to understand, for me to understand that I am the land, like I am earth, I am nature, I am mineral, like I am water, like I am all those things. To not know that means that I am disjointed. It means that I am not home. It means that I am not together. And I can't heal if I'm not together. I can't heal if I'm not home. And then the only way to access home is to remember that I am home. Like I am whole. I am a part of the whole and I am the whole. Without that, there is no healing. You can't, in my opinion, you can't heal without realigning and reconnecting to the fabric of this planet. I have found with everyone that I work with, as I see them mature, right, into becoming whatever is being expressed in them, if they don't start out like going on walks or, you know, being outside or something like that, by the time, give it a year, like on this healing journey, she will call them and they will be out walking. And my client calls me like, oh, I just came in from such and such a walk, or I bought these plants, or like their connection to her will deepen as they are deepening their own healing. There, that is also happening. The sky becomes exciting to them. The birds. Oh, wow, did you hear that bird? A year ago, maybe when I was working with them, they would have never mentioned a bird that they heard. But now on their healing journey, they're starting to hear the birds and they're wanting to spend more time and get more involved with how mother is supporting them. They can feel it.
That's a beautiful answer. So layered with so many things. I think when we talk about the land, when we talk about nature, because I used to live in England for a while and I was very hyper individualistic then. I was very me focused. Moving back to Nigeria, which is where I am now, and being around family and having all these events where we're all together, we're celebrating people, so many people. Like when I walk into a room and my family is there, is a huge event, I'm like, wow, so many people. It's so overwhelming. And because I was away for at least 4 years doing my own thing, I completely cut off that aspect of myself just because it wasn't really, at that point, it wasn't really so pronounced in terms of like their impact or their presence, at least from my perspective. So coming back was like coming back home
Mhm.
and seeing what community is and seeing the vitality in having people that do understand you. It's not just about having people, it's about having people that see you and understand you and want to be there for you. But I think one thing that I also did take from them as a community was forgiveness, was the ability to be like, yeah, you left us for a while, it hurt us, but you're back. And that's what that matters. And for me, I was like, oh, wow, I didn't know that you guys have this in you, this ability to move on and forgive and hold space. And in having that realization, because it was a big realization, in seeing how my cousins were like, wow, you left for such a long time, and now are you back for good? I was like,
Mm,
wow, I didn't know that me removing myself or me just isolating just because would have an impact, would cause people to miss me. Sometimes you can be so focused on what you're going through because you have to do personal healing before it can pour into the lineage, the community. So being more
mhm,
focused on healing myself first, and then coming out of that healing and seeing people standing there and being like, we've been waiting for you, we hope you're back now, just seeing your
mm,
role, the role that you left for a while, was very, it was like a form of self-reclamation in a way.
mhm,
And another thing is that it's also made space for me to meet other people.
mm,
And I must say, maybe sometimes I do get blocks where I'm like, no, I'm okay just on my own. And I think that calls or invites for deeper healing. But to also talk about the land, back when I was in England before this move, when I was younger, I just felt this call, come back
mm,
home, come back home. Nobody told me, it was just a whisper. And I was like, what do I have to do back home? Like, what is there for me? But I found that anytime I'm away for too long, I do find my way back home. Like, it's either
mm,
an urge or events call me back. And once and for all, this time when I moved back last year, I think 6 months into the year, I was like, wow, I genuinely feel like I'm never moving, I'm never moving away again. I'm staying here, I'm placing roots, I'm growing. That scared me because I didn't see myself as staying home. I felt like the person I am, the way I have my beliefs, and because we have such a traditional culture, I don't feel like I may fit in.
mhm,
But it was just a knowing that stay here. There's so much that you
mm.
can do. And I'm like, you have been calling me back all this while. And I think at
Yeah.
one point I did get this intuitive download when I was back in England that when you go back home, take some soil with you so that you always have some connection to the
Mm,
land.
yes.
Yes, but now I don't need to do that anymore because, I'm here and
Mhm,
it's like she's more inviting. Like she's made things more
mm,
comfortable for me to be like, girls, just stay here. Don't go anywhere else. And I'm like, wow. And even with community, there's been healing there because I'm opening myself up more to just observe and commune.
mm,
And it could be something as simple as visiting my grandparents every week. Whereas before they knew me as I've been known as the person in the family that she disappears and they don't know where she is for a while. She's not in contact. And I've had so many people come up to me and be like, are you staying now? Are you going to stay
mm.
now? And I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't know you guys liked me like this. I didn't know. And, but I can tell you that when I'm in my garden, and I'm just
Mm,
there taking time, listening to the wind and the trees, and just I love just being in grass and looking at the green. I just get this feeling of hang out here more, stay here more, stay here in this garden. Let's talk to you. Because when I
mm,
was in England, I used to hang out in the park a lot, and I found that my listening improved. I could swear that I could hear dogs speaking to each other.
mhm,
I could hear animals. I could hear things. My hearing was so good. The wind, the
mm,
trees. I was communing with trees, talking to trees. It was like something in me aligned with that frequency. And I was so in tune with everything from trees to
mm,
bees to the wind. And I even wrote a poem at one point called Whispers in the Wind because I just felt like you could hear things if you really tuned in. And I think that yeah, nature is actually so beautiful and so healing, and there's so much more to explore. So I'm really happy we're having this conversation. My next question: what are
yes.
some of the most potent lessons nature has whispered to you? Are there
Mm.
particular plants or natural elements that have been spiritual guides?
Well, I first wanted to just Thank you for your share. What I love about dropping in, right, and letting Mother lead conversations is what shows up, right?
Mm.
The memories that you just shared and like the beautiful story that you wove of coming home was beautiful. So thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for sharing that and just letting that move through you. Some of the most potent lessons. Oh my goodness. Every day I go out into the garden, there is something new to learn. Every time I put my hands in the dirt, my feet in the dirt speaks to me. There's always a lesson. I don't have a most potent lesson because it's like going to school and you have all these subjects and there's so much information. It's like, what's the one thing that stands out? Like, is it to add or subtract or multiply? Like, I don't know. Like they're all needed and they all kind of blend. And that's how I feel about the lessons of nature. It's that, mineral is my element in the Dagara. Mineral is my element, in the astrological. I'm a sun sign, or my sun sign is Earth, right? I'm a Capricorn. In the progressed astrology, like right now, my sun sign is Wind. I think not Virgo, but the Aquarius. So it's Aquarius. So it's like every single element has something to share all the time. And there isn't one that sticks out as this is my guide, because I feel like they all just take their turns, and they're also community, right? So which grandmother is better? I could never say which grandmother is better or which grandfather is better. They all, each grandparent is unique and what they share with me. And that's how I feel nature is. There's no one that's a greater guide. They're all guides. And what they share is always perfect and profound at the time. So as I'm kind of rambling, I think flexibility has been something that has shown up, presence and community. Yeah.
Beautiful. So many things to take from that. I'd love for you to speak on the idea of indigenous herbalism, not just as medicine, but as memory, culture, and reclamation.
Yeah. So I have this little nitpicky thing that is very present, and it's the way that our relationship to plants is categorized in certain ways. So if you know these plants over here, then you're an herbalist. But if you know these plants over here, then you're maybe an environmentalist, or these plants over here, and then you're a scientist. And I just don't like the way that things are separated out, um, because we assume that the herbalist or the herbalism, like this, a different category of plant that's supposed to do something different for you that a tree couldn't, or that the lake or the stream couldn't do. It's all medicine. So like there's that. I get it. Like I get, I can identify myself as like, yes, I'm an herbalist, and but the reason why it's plants and nature, why it invokes or why it ignites memory, I feel is because I don't separate it out. And I'm going right into the heart of the truth, which is not about separating it out. So that is why I feel like nature in general, whether it's the plants, the stones, the creek, the ocean, right, the fire, which the sun, like it all invokes memory, because I feel like that's why we're here, is to remember. And what's naturally here, like what's organic, how could it not be here to help us remember? Like how can it not be encoded with what we need if we're here together? That doesn't make any sense.
So, for those listening who feel disconnected from their roots, from nature, and from their inner wisdom. What's one simple invitation or practice you'd offer to begin the reconnection?
What I heard was look out the window and start looking at the sky.
Ooh.
Something so simple. You don't need grass, you don't need a yard, you need a window, and you look up.
Hmm.
And you begin looking up every day. And what do you see and what do you feel? And let that be a starting step. And then you just see where it wants to take you.
Thank you. That's a very beautiful answer,
You're
honestly.
welcome.
So at 55, lived a truly textured life. What would you tell your younger self who was just beginning this path of self liberation?
What would I tell her? Hmm. I would tell her that I love her.
Oh, that hit me in my chest. Because I'm just thinking, at 55, you look very beautiful, very young. Age is just a number, but like age doesn't show on your face. Your wisdom shines through. You look youthful. You look well rested, in tune with yourself. But honestly, I'm now thinking about who I would be at 55. And I think definitely I would tell my younger self in my 20s and maybe while I was a teenager that yes, I love you and I like you for who you are. You don't have to change. You don't have to be something you're not. And just keep doing this healing work. It's where you need to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that too.
You're welcome.
So, if you could whisper one thing to someone just beginning their land reconnection or ancestral healing journey, what would you want them to remember?
For someone who's just beginning their ancestral healing journey, what would I like them to remember? I probably would want them to remember that ancestral healing, well, what I felt and what I heard to say was just keep going back. Like when you think you want to stop there, keep going, keep going, keep going. And then the second thing that I'm hearing is don't limit yourself to humans because our lineages is so far beyond, right? Human. Our lineage is frequency.
Wow, so beautiful. And this is the perfect place to stop. So, for listeners, I'll leave you with this. What part of the land remembers you? Maybe it's a tree you grew up climbing, the smell of soil after rain, or the sound of your grandmother's laugh in the garden. Let that memory be your map home this week. Thank you so much, Shante. This was such a oh my gosh, this
Thank
was
you.
such a
This was
wonderful interview.
beautiful.
Thank you. Honestly, thank you so much. Your answers, your wisdom, everything you know, your energy. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. And it's been a pleasure of mine as well.
You have a lovely day. Bye,
Thanks.
listeners.
Bye bye.